Eddie, we've just seen Dave Allen stop Johnny Fisher. Have you had a chance to speak to Johnny at all, and how is he at the minute?
Yeah, I have. He's fine. He's devastated. I think I don't think he felt like he was 100% going into the first fight, and he felt like he was 100% going into tonight. So sometimes it's a little bit more of a blow, because you kind of, on one hand, you know that you've done everything you can, and you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I couldn't have done any more. And on the other side, you know that I did everything and I still got beat. And therefore I wasn't good enough. And that's the truth. You weren't good enough tonight. You got old man, you got beaten by the better fighter with more experience, and you got to come back stronger. That's it.
What were your thoughts on the stoppage? I've heard a few people say maybe it should have been stopped sooner. What was your initial reaction to that?
I mean, that Johnny was winning the fight comfortably, like he was in the first fight till the 5th round. And he just got caught by that kind of big overhand right, which is Dave's kind of signature. Scrambled the senses, but he was just starting to apply the pressure smartly. And from there, he gets to his feet. Probably, having seen it back, arguably, he shouldn't continue at that point. But at the same time, the ref's got to give him a chance, on this occasion. And it wasn't like for the first knockdown, there was horrifically clean shots raining in on him. They were mainly around the side of the head. Thank you. And also, at that point, you got 10 seconds to go. I hear the klaxon when they pull them back together, and it was on the bell, the big left hook on the bell. It's very difficult for the ref to jump in while Dave Allen's swinging away, but I'm just glad that Johnny got up, got to his feet eventually, and he was fine the whole time. But it was a heavy knockout. It was a dramatic knockout, heavyweight boxing. It's like everybody's talking about it, and that's what happens when you have those big nights, big moments.
In terms of the next steps, could you see this being a rebuild process for Johnny, or could you see the trilogy with Dave Allen potentially happening?
I can see the trilogy one day, but not next, in my opinion. I mean, I'm pretty honest to the point where when you get a chance to run it back like we did tonight, it's like, should we have taken a rematch tonight? I still think the answer is yes. Because we won the first fight, it was very close, but if you're going to go to the levels that we hope you will, you learn from the first fight and you beat Dave Allen in the rematch. He wasn't good enough in that fight tonight. Therefore, you don't want to, having been knocked out like that, with the inexperience of Johnny Fisher, just automatically go back into number 3. So, Dave's obviously now with Matchroom again. I was laughing about that with him, and it's going to be exciting to see what's next. The Johnny Fisher trilogy is there. There's a headline fight in Sheffield. There's keeping him active as well. Dave's got a massive profile and he's extremely likeable. You could hear it in there tonight, And by the way, he's a lot better than he thinks he is when he gets it right. And I think he's still got a lot to give.
With Dave Allen, if he is to headline a show with Matchroom, could you see it being against the winner of Jamie TKV and David Adelaide's rematch?
Possibly. I think Dave Allen's actually going to be really hard to beat when he's confident. He's a big lump. He's got a great chin. He can whack. And his ring IQ is just good. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what's next for him.
Just finally from me, the all-parliamentary group for boxing, which I know Matchroom is involved with, they're going to commission a report for the government soon. What would be your message to the government in relation to boxing gyms needing to secure more funding?
But you've got to do something. You got kids who are on the streets with machetes and knives with absolutely no fear, and they consistently aren't listening to the rules. And we know that something's not working. In boxing gyms, people learn respect, manners, discipline, and what's right and wrong. And at the end of the day, there isn't a lot of investment required to give better opportunities for kids in the community. A lot of these kids don't have parents and role models and people. They get that in the gym with coaches. And I promise that anyone that walks through the gym and starts and joins an amateur boxing club will change their life and become more disciplined and lead a better life. And it's not happening in the classrooms, and it's not happening, so it baffles me that they just don't make that investment within the community. I'm not saying it's going to solve everything, but it will make a significant difference.
Eddie, we had a fight announced tonight, Jack Catterall and Eubank. It's a 147. Is that a permanent move for Jack Catterall?
I think Jack wanted a big fight. After the Barboza fight, which was really disappointing, I was like, do you want a 10-round comeback fight? He went, no, I don't want a 10-round comeback. I just want the biggest fight you can find me. the weight cut for Barboza and probably Taylor was starting to get a little bit difficult. He's been at 140 a long time. And originally we talked about Harlem Eubank maybe doing it at 145, something like that. I mean, Harlem was a 140 as well previously. And Jack went, look, I'm happy to do it at 147. And obviously Harlem was pleased to do it. I actually didn't think Harlem would take that fight, if I'm honest. And, you know, it is risky for Jack, because if he gets beat, he's done. And it's just a really good fight. Like, obviously the Eubank name is hot right now. And we will see on July 5th who will lick them up. You know, who will be victorious?
Catterall is obviously his arch rival. We always talk about the Josh Taylor trilogy. He's obviously moving up to welterweight next week. Is that something, a possibility in the future between them?
We actually talked about that trilogy, you know, and I think it's got every chance. I mean, he's got to beat Essuman next week. That's not a given, you know, but the fight came up with Harlem Eubank and Jack, and I just thought, I like it. You know, I like the fight a lot, and I'm pleased to get it made. The response has been fantastic, and you know, we look forward to welcoming the Eubanks, and maybe we can get a win this time.
At this stage of his career for Josh Taylor, how do you think he gets on with Essuman?
Do you know what? I'll be honest, I haven't seen a huge amount of Essuman. I saw him fight the last fight, I think it was in Birmingham. What he's got is a great engine, it's his nickname. And it's just whether Josh can kind of carry that up to 147. Again, for him, like when we did Taylor Catterall 2, we actually talked about that fight up at 142 or 143. And Josh said, no, I want it at 140. That actually quite surprised me. And he said he made the weight fine. But I just think after a while, like you need to move up in weight. And that's the same for Jack.
With Johnny Fisher losing tonight, Eddie, I mean, his comeback, will it be interesting to see what kind of crowd he draws in next time he fights?
No, because he won't be headlining. Like, there's a huge amount of pressure headlining. Like, you've got to sell all the tickets. It's your night, right? And when he walked out tonight, well, I mean, the atmosphere is mental. Like, you're looking around. This place is not historic for selling tickets, right? The Copper Box doesn't generally do that well. You very rarely see it full up like that, right? And like, he has no experience, right? He had the Alan Babbage fight, which was like one round, and then he had the last Dave Allen fight. That was all the experience, and we hoped that experience of that 10-round fight would be enough for him to improve and get the better of Dave Allen. He won the first. I mean, arguably might have lost the first round, but basically won the next three. Might have been 4-0, 3-1 at worst, but he wasn't getting the respect of Dave Allen. You know, I think he hurt him a couple of times to the body, actually, but it's just like you're allowing Dave Allen to walk you down consistently. You know, you've got your lead hand out, and it's like, it's not really working. I mean, the only other person that's done that with success is Vladimir Klitschko, you know, and for me, it was just the experience and the ring IQ of Dave Allen and the size of him, because he makes you fight. And what happens is the same thing happened in this fight that happened in the first fight. Dave started to exert his pressure on him, and the energy levels started to deplete for Johnny. And he made a mistake, got caught by the big right hand. I said to him in the ring, just before the fight, the bell started, I went, mind the fucking right hand over the top. It's Dave's like signature shot. I'm not saying he hasn't got anything else, but that is the one real dangerous shot that he has. You know, and the hand was too low, gets caught round the side of the head. But I was just watching it back then, like, if you actually look at it, that fourth round, Dave was starting to back him up, throw more punches. And to be fair, he did everything he said in the presser. He said, I won't do much for the first 3 rounds. Then I'll start throwing a few more punches. And then I'll start, and that's exactly what he did.
Obviously, you mentioned that he can headline in Sheffield. Like, what kind of caliber opponent could we see Dave against? Obviously, he's top 15 with the WBL, so with that ranking title.
I think Dave's a lot better than he thinks. Do you know what I mean? And he said to me tonight, he's like, you know, I'm not sure Johnny Fisher's that good, he said to me. I said, well, I think maybe you're really good when you actually are fit, when you actually believe in yourself, and when you're listening to your training team. So I think there's a couple of options. I mean, he's with us now moving forward, so we've got to look at it and say, do you want to stay active and get back in the ring? It could just be maybe an 8 or a 10 rounder or a defence of your title. Or do you want to get as big a fight as possible? In the past, Dave Allen would have always gone the latter. But with Jamie and Nigel around him, like they're saying to him, they said to me, gosh, just got to get him back in the gym. Don't let him out of the gym for too long. Because he was at an all-time high. weight-wise, and I don't think it really matters, to be honest with you. But I don't know what's good and bad for Dave Allen, because I've had him in shape before, and he's been shit. And I've had him fat, and he's been great. Do you know what I mean? It's like, with Dave, it's just up here. And tonight, he fancied the job. You know, he really fancied the job.
And 2 really big wins for George Liddard and Kieran Conway as well. Definitely something next, and could that
I
potentially...
said earlier, like, for me, Kieran Conway's 22 years old. George Liddard's 22 years old. So, like, it's a big, you know, Kieran Conway's been around. I think he's getting better, and he's really finding his teeth at that level. Like, I think he's enjoying, he can beat people up now. And George is probably one of the most improved fighters, I think, in Britain. Not that he wasn't good anyway, but I didn't expect him to be at this level so soon. He wants to roll the dice, but it's up to Tony. And if they fancy it, I would love to make it.
Definitely as well. And I see that I think Jake Donovan released an article that Callum Smith had a request from the WBO denied to consolidate the WBO. Where does that sit, Dimitri Bivol, after Beterbiev trilogy, and where Callum Smith's at next?
I think Callum's lawyer, Sean O'Toole, STN, just wrote to the WBO and said, look, we're the interim world champion. We'd like to kind of force the mandatory, and they said, not yet. We are in negotiations with David Benavidez for that fight. We've been talking about the Anthony Yard fight as well, or a defence of that interim title against a top 15 in Liverpool. So Callum's got a lot of options. He'll be out probably September time.
And you can see the trilogy between Beterbiev and Bivol.
Yes, you'll see that. Probably November.